What is up, and welcome into Pac-12 Preview. Yes, I am Michael Caratanudo at Diablo00 is where you can find me on Twitter. And yes, it was a awesome, phenomenal weekend in the Pac-12. Yes, the Conference of Champions still showed why it is the Conference of Champions. And yes, 2 titles to teams that are leaving in a year. But hey, you know what? Those titles are in the conference. So, yeah, this will be interesting. But that being said, championships in women's lacrosse. Well, no, actually a Pac-12 championship in lacrosse. But a 20th national title for one team, and a three-peat for another team. And oh yeah, and by the way, there was some implications in softball and just a heavyweight fight in baseball between Stanford and ASU. Yes, I will. Spoiler alert, Stanford, if you didn't see, swept the series. But I will say this much. If you look at how ASU played and what Willie Bloomquist is doing, knowing that, considering what happened a season ago against Stanford, just getting boated by a ton of runs, put it that way. But that's way in the past. That's double in the past now, because just finishing up a series, and Stanford swept it. And yesterday's victory was the biggest margin of victory, and we'll get to all that. Softball-wise, like I said, USC, sorry, Bruins fans, I would never do that. I'm not doing that to you. UCLA won the Pac-12 title, the inaugural women's Pac-12 tournament, which will be hosted by U of A, but down in Tucson. Kicks off on Wednesday with a very interesting play-in game. If I would have told you this from one side in the beginning of the softball season, that the play-in game for softball and the brackets would be the 8-9 seed is the play-in, right? But if I told you it would be ASU after, getting a new coach, losing quite a few good players, bringing good players in, but just kind of being a little bit behind the 8 ball from when a new coach was, Coach Ford left, Coach Bartlett came in. If I told you the play-in game was ASU and U of A, especially from the Arizona side, you'd be like, yeah, okay, you're just being a hater. You're a Sun Devil homer, which, okay, fine. Not going to run from that moniker. My good friend Greg Moore would not let me run from that moniker. But nonetheless, knowing what Arizona is in softball, and again, it's just never in a million years, literally, would I have thought that Arizona in the inaugural game would be in the play-in game, not just because they're hosting, but with what they had coming back. And it's just mind-blowing to me. And yeah, that proves how tough this conference is, which I almost fell off, or I almost fell over. I should say, because I was watching some of the Oklahoma State-Oklahoma game on was it Saturday? Saturday, yeah. Saturday. And Oklahoma State was up at there was a delay in the game, and there was a review. I shouldn't say delay. There was a review. They showed the RPIs, top ranking the conference's top RPI, and the Pac-12 was number one. I almost fell over. I'm like, wait, they couldn't find an excuse to give it to the SEC, which I've said for years in softball. Yes, in any sport, it is, what have you done for me lately? And I get that. The history of softball in the Pac-12, again, go look it up. If you see it with your own eyes, you will understand. So SEC homers, Big 12 homers. Yes, recently, again, you've had good teams throughout the years. Domination as a conference was with the Pac-10 / Pac-12 now. And look, it looks like UCLA is on a collision course to get back there. Yes, they're going to have some tough games. But, yeah, number one in RPI was the Pac-12. I was like, wow. So that's that. But, yeah, baseball too. I mean, some implications. Stanford, yes, there are 2 series left. There's 2 weekend series, conference series left. At this point, it would be very tough for ASU to overtake Stanford. Now ASU, I mean, just for seeding in the Pac-12 tournament, which is at Scottsdale Stadium here, about 10 minutes from, well, ASU, the campus, but from Phoenix Muni, where ASU plays. So the seeding for that is going to be very, very important, because when you look at it, yeah, I mean, you want to be, well, the top seed, of course, would always be nice, meaning that you won the regular season. But yeah, ASU standing wise, and it's again, very, very challenging right now, because of what happened over the weekend. So we will get to that as well. UCLA men's volleyball, that's what I was talking about, brought home their 20th national title in men's volleyball. I mean, that's just, and they've been to 27 national title games. I will read the years when we get there, but yeah, hats off to the Bruins. Again, just a dominant men's volleyball team. You figure, well, you're in California, you can find a lot of, inevitably a lot of programs you can find. You don't get every player. And got to give a shout out to Zach Rama, though, on UCLA. Again, played a little bit, in the championship match, but also this season, he played here in Phoenix at Sandra Day O'Connor High School. For those that don't know, it's in North Phoenix. But yeah, 6'8" and just a dominant force. Actually played some hoops too for them, but is on the under 21 USA volleyball team. And his younger sister, who will be, was she graduating this year? I want to say graduating this year. She might be a junior, but nonetheless, his younger sister Piper plays volleyball as well. I was talking to her back in the fall, and she's just saying, yeah, he's doing really well. And as a freshman now, he is part of a national championship team. And yeah, you say, 6'8", again, the athleticism and what you see that they do. And it's just, it's pretty awesome. But pardon me. Yeah, so shout out to Zach Rama being part of the team. But yeah, UCLA, I mean, they beat Hawaii in 4 sets. Hawaii just, again, an amazing team in and of itself, too. You'll say, Hawaii, yeah, I mean, you can find a lot of great. Well, we're not talking beach, we're talking indoor. But the Bruins won their 20th national title. USC on women's beach. Speaking of beach volleyball, I know, great transition there. Speaking of beach volleyball, USC beat UCLA in the championship game. So hence why we call it the Conference of Champions, because in the volleyball national championship, in the bracket, I think I know I have that in my notes, but yeah, I know TCU was there, Florida State was there, USC, UCLA. Oh man, who was? Why can't I see this in the notes? So the 16 teams that started this tournament, thank you. Here it is. Apologies. I know. Shout out to Craig Ferguson, Uncomfortable Silence. But UCLA was the number 1 seed in beach volleyball coming in. And then their TCU was number 2. Southern Cal was number 3. Florida State was number 4. LSU was number 5. LMU out of California was number 6. Grand Canyon made it this year. Again, another team out of Arizona making it, and it wasn't ASU or U of A. It was Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon was 7, and then Cal was 8. Long Beach State was 9. Stanford was 10. Hawaii was 11. Florida Atlantic was 12. FIU was 13. Georgia State was 14. Stetson was 15 and 16. Well, they said 17 because they won the play-in, but 16, the 16 seed was A&M Corpus Christi. So UCLA got to the finals, or got to the that was the first round. Got to the quarterfinals by beating Corpus Christi 3-0. And for those of you not familiar with beach volleyball, there's five teams. You each have your 1 through 5 seed, and the first 1 to 3 wins. So yeah, it could come down to your 5s playing just how, depending on how it goes. But UCLA beat A&M Corpus Christi in 3. And then Cal took on Long Beach State in the 8-9 matchup and beat them in 5. LSU beat Florida Atlantic in 5 in the first round. And then Florida State beat FIU in 4. Or say 3-1. But yeah, I mean, still 4 matches were played. And then TCU beat Stetson 3-0. Stanford beat Grand Canyon 3-2. And then LMU beat Hawaii 3-1. And USC beat Georgia State 3-0. So the quarterfinals matchups, you had UCLA taking on Cal, Florida State and LSU, Southern Cal and LMU, and then Stanford and TCU. UCLA beat Cal 3-1. Florida State, who's, again, like I said, they've been to all UCLA, Florida State, and SC have been to all the beach volleyball championships. So yeah, I saw that fun fact during the broadcast. That's insane. But Florida State beat LSU 3-0, and then Southern Cal beat LMU 3-1. TCU beat Stanford 3-0. So the semifinal matchups, UCLA and Florida State, like I said, they faced off a few times in this, and that was one semifinal. Southern Cal and TCU, just absolutely awesome. UCLA beat Florida State 3-0 to advance to the championship game. They were the number 1 seed, like I said, and then 2 and 3, TCU 2, Southern Cal 3. Southern Cal won it 3-2, and man, what a phenomenal set. I mean, this one was back and forth. TCU, very impressive. This is the first time. I mean, I've seen Southern Cal, UCLA, Stanford play this year. So, and Cal being Pac-12 teams, but got to admit, it's the first time I saw TCU. And yes, by championships, they were definitely primed. Their teams, again, very, very solid. And Southern Cal, it took 5, but Southern Cal beat them. Well, it took all 5 matches, but beat them 3-2. So the championship match, USC and UCLA. UCLA, the number 1 seed, like I said, Southern Cal, SC, the number 3 seed. But being the number 3 seed, okay, here we go with stars aligning with numbers, peeps, because this was the 3rd straight championship game USC has been in. They were going for a 3-peat, and they were seeded number 3. So there you go. So USC, UCLA, again, coming in the number 1 seed, taking on Southern Cal. You figure it's going to go 5. And there were some amazing matches. Yeah, so here we go. Here's some more fun facts. So USC ends up winning it, like I said, in 5. They get the 3-peat. They are national champs in beach volleyball. So check this out. USC is one of 3 schools to appear in all 7 NCAA championships. UCLA and FSU are the other 2, like I said. They have won 5 of 7 NCAA championships and now 3 straight NCAA titles, first for a USC women's program. So again, hats off to the women of Troy, as hats off to the women of Troy. For that. But yeah, it was, again, just a phenomenal. If you didn't get to check it out, again, ESPN, various ESPN2, ESPN News, but they aired it. There were some weather issues one day. So, yeah, for I think quarterfinal to semifinal day, they had, again, a lot of action on the courts, which was phenomenal. But just, again, a lot of great action. Again, just a different mindset than indoor, still aggressive and awesome. But yeah, to look at what they did. I mean, how they did it again, just a battle in 5. I mean, UCLA finished 40-3 on the season. Southern Cal 32-5, and they win it 3-2. And again, no surprise it went down to that. Just, again, absolutely phenomenal. On the beach volleyball front. So, yeah, very, very awesome there. Again, congratulations to USC, the women of Troy, 3-peat. And yeah, they're going to be getting chased down next year. Again, they're going to enjoy this for a minute, quite a few minutes, as they should. And they will again, but just let that sink in. One of 3 schools to be in all 7 NCAA beach championships, won 5 of 7 NCAA championships, and 3 straight, first for a USC women's program, any sport on the women's side. And believe me, they've had some phenomenal programs, women's side, all sports. So congratulations again to the women of Troy as they are able to bring home that national title. And now, speaking of, volleyball, the men's indoor volleyball season is in the spring, as we know. And UCLA, man, what can one say? They win their 20th national championship, does UCLA. And it's been a minute since between 19 and 20, and people say, oh, that sounds like a UCLA fan getting greedy. And I'm like, no, not getting greedy, but it's you have just such an expectation and to be dominant. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, they need to bring one home. And I'll get to the years in a second. But yeah, it was just such a phenomenal team performance. The bracket for it, how they got there. So the first round, Ohio State had to play King out of Tennessee they called it the first round, but having buys. So Penn State played Ohio State, Big Ten matchup there in the quarterfinals. And then Long Beach State was playing and then Grand Canyon men. So the men get in on the indoor volleyball side as well, and the women get in on beach. So again, a heck of a spring for the Antelopes. But Grand Canyon was playing Long Beach State, and Penn State playing Ohio State. So Long Beach State beat Grand Canyon in 4, and then Penn State also beat Ohio State in 4. So then UCLA taking on Long Beach State, who both UCLA were the 1, and UCLA and Hawaii were the 1 and 2 seeds. So they had buys to the semifinals, which again is a very advantageous thing to get that number 1 or number 2 seed. UCLA beat Long Beach State in 3, and then Hawaii beat Penn State. But this was a battle, Hawaii. And I didn't get to see. I saw the last half of pretty much the whole 5th set, I should say, of that when Hawaii won it. But yeah, just checking out the highlights from the whole match when they were recapping it. Man, what a match! But Hawaii gets by Penn State, and then UCLA and Hawaii meet in the championship game. So UCLA wins in 4, and they won the first set 28-26. So bonus volleyball. So those of you that aren't, volleyball aficionados don't know, indoor is up to 25. You have to win by 2. So that's why the first is 28-26. So it's up to 25, got to win by 2. If it goes to the 5th set, it's up to 15, but you still got to win by 2. So the second set was insane. I mean, UCLA fought off set point after set point. Hawaii had to fight off 2 or 3 from UCLA. But Hawaii wins it 33-31. And that's how competitive it is. And then the 3rd set and 4th set, UCLA took 25-21. So if you're getting bonus volleyball in the first 2, UCLA takes it in normal fashion, you could say, but 25-21 and then 25-21 to bring home their 20th NCAA national championship in men's volleyball. And again, hats off them. So when we're going through the years real quick, so 1970, UCLA beat Long Beach State in 3. In 71, they beat Santa Barbara in 3. In 72, they beat San Diego State in 5. 73, didn't play in the championship game, didn't win it. 74, they beat UC Santa Barbara in 5. 75, they beat Santa Barbara in 4. 76, they beat Pepperdine in 3. 78, first time they got to a championship game and didn't win it. They lost to Pepperdine in 5. Came back in 79, though. Who do they get to beat? Crosstown rivals USC 3-1. In 1980, a rematch of the 79 game, but this time USC gets the upper hand, and they beat UCLA 3-1 as like I said, second time they got to a championship game now and lost. 81, it's a rematch. It's, again, a three-peat of this rematch, the rubber match, and UCLA beats USC in 5. 82, UCLA sweeps Penn State 3-0. 83, they do the same thing to Pepperdine. They win 3-0. 84, they beat Pepperdine 3-1. Don't go in 85 or 86. 87, they beat SC 3-0. Don't go in 88. 89, they beat Stanford 3-1. And then from 90 to 92, not in the championship game at all. In 93, they beat Cal State Northridge in 3. In 94, they lost to Penn State in 5. In 95, they beat Penn State in 3. In 96, they beat Hawaii in 5. In 97, they lost to Stanford in 5. In 98, they beat Pepperdine in 3 and then didn't play in it in 99. In 2000, they swept Ohio State. In 2001, they lost to BYU, and this is their first loss where they didn't win a set. BYU beat them in 3. And then from 2002 to 2004, didn't play in the championship game, got back there in 2005, lost to Pepperdine in 5. 2006, they're back there. They beat Penn State in 3. Then from 2007 to 2017, no championship appearances. The longest drought in Bruins history. And again, with that storied tradition that I just read to you, wow, very, very tough. But in 2018, they get back. They lose to Long Beach State in 5. Then from 2019, and again, with COVID, the 1 year, there was no spring championships whatsoever at all. But let's just say from 2019 to 2022, no appearances for USC. And then they get the 20th with the 3-1 victory over Hawaii, like I was talking about. But yeah, I mean, so they won 3 in a row, 70, 71, and 72. 74, 75, and 76. And then they won in 79, won in 81, 82, 83, 84, and then won in 87, 89, 93, 95, 96, 98, 2000, 2005, 2006, and 2023. So there are your 20. That is just phenomenal. Beyond phenomenal. Like, it's infinitely phenomenal. 20 national titles, to have a 3-peat, a 4-peat in there, and all that time away. And with what they have now, again, the landscape of men's volleyball, I mean, it's changed a little bit. I mean, obviously it's improved. I mean, skill set, just the amount that you see, the athleticism, and I say it all the time on the women's side too. It's just insane. And Hawaii coming into this is what makes it sweeter for the 20th too. And I didn't bury the headline because the 20th national title is a headline, but Hawaii, was 2-time defending national champ. So Hawaii just came off back-to-back titles, trying to do something that only UCLA has done in this, and it go for a 3-peat. And of course, who stops them from the 3-peat, matching them, and to get their 20th, of course, UCLA. And so it's just, I mean, John Spruill won his 4th NCAA men's volleyball title. He's a head coach of UCLA. I know. I know it. I say it like you guys know, but UCLA head coach, yeah. John Spruill won his 4th NCAA men's volleyball title as a collegiate head coach. Also, 2007, 2009, 2012, while at UC Irvine. So while UCLA was taking a little bit of a break from winning national titles, well, I shouldn't say, I mean, not getting the national tournament, but winning national titles. Coach Spruill was winning them. So, like I said, with UC Irvine, he won 3. He helped win 3 more titles as the UCLA men's volleyball assistant coach, 96, 98, and 2000, and also brought home 2 trophies as a Bruins men volleyball player in 93 and 95 for legendary coach Al Skates. So, yeah, I mean, the tradition, what it means, and even in the post-match interview, right live on TV, he said, "The guys, you're not going to get me to cry, you're not going to get me choked up. You got to take a deep breath before some answers, because being an alum, I mean, it means, of course, it means a lot to win a national title, but doing it at your alum, the school you're an alumnus of, absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's, like I said, phenomenal, amazing, epic, just any adjective you want to throw in there. But yeah, it's for him, it's just, it's absolutely awesome. And they bring home their 20th, and couldn't, like I said, all those, what I read to you again, 3-peats, 4-peats. And then, yeah, the other side of that is just not being in the championship game from I mean, they went from 2002 to 2004, back in 2005 and 6, but then from 7 to 18. And I know there's a lot, and for UCLA fans, if I don't bring this up, and look, you're not going to make excuses, you got to win, but in 2018, it was a match and saying that they should have won because there were some review calls, there were some non-review calls that were really questionable. And again, Long Beach State had a very talented team. I remember when they were talking about it, I remember watching the 4th and 5th set of that in 20. I had to go, it took me a second to think, but I was like, oh yeah, that's the one where I only saw the 4th and 5th set. But yeah, I mean, showing some stuff. UCLA, I think, should have had another one. Their 20 should have been in 2018, but nonetheless, and then not getting to the championship game, not saying to the tournament, getting to the championship game from 2007, 2017. I mean, just absolutely insane. So look, they got 20, they have a huge amount of their team coming back next year. So again, hats off to the Bruins, the men's team, as they get their 20th national title. I'll let that sink in because we're going to step aside. When I get back, we're going to talk baseball, the epic weekend series that was between Stanford and Arizona State at Phoenix Muni. Again, in Tempe, as they head into the final 2 weekends now of Pac-12 play and softball as well. Implications again for seeding below UCLA, of course. And that kicks off the women's inaugural Pac-12 softball tournament, kicks off this Wednesday. So we will get to that. But yeah, baseball when we get back, don't go too far. And we will have more coming up here on Pac-12 Preview. We are back here on Pac-12 Preview. I am Michael Caratinito at Diablo00 on Twitter is where you can find me. Thoughts, banter, questions, really anything. And just, we can trash talk, but keep it civil, keep it on the up and up. If your team or your conference is worse than mine, again, it's okay. I'll be civil about it, but I'll remind you. And if you think mine is, you can remind me, but let's have some, we can have some fun with it. Totally cool with that. Yeah, baseball this past weekend. So let's get right into it. I mean, the big series in baseball was Stanford and Arizona State, because the top of the Pac-12 standings coming in, Stanford was 15-6. ASU was 14-6. And it was just kind of this like stretch race to see who would finish tops in the Pac-12 in the regular season, put them in good position. And again, I have to eat a little bit of crow. I said I didn't think either team would sweep the other. And knowing what Stanford had, knowing how ASU, again, has been playing, has played all season long, but knowing what Stanford's had, how they've played all season long as well, figuring each team is good enough to go toe-to-toe with each other, as I thought. And again, Stanford, of course, was favored to win the series, as no surprise. Again, you can't fully just go off of last year. Obviously, quite a bit of a different team. Again, we had Jack Loader on from Devil's Digest, was hanging out and talked to him throughout the weekend, being out at Phoenix Muni, checking out the series. If you follow me on Twitter at Diablo00, non-shameless plug, you would have known a lot of posting updates from there. But we had Jack Loader on Friday previewing this series. And, I mean, Stanford, he said, he listed a few hitters, but 1 through 9, yeah, that lineup is as advertised, put it that way. And ASU, again, up and down, like they got Ryan Campos, their catcher, back, who Jack talked about. He had missed 11 games, been out for a minute. He DH'd Friday night, just kind of get back into, game action. They didn't put him in the field, but then he caught Saturday and Sunday. And looked good behind the plate. I mean, coach said, of course you come back from any time off, his was, 11 games, but, quite a few weeks, but that's, it seems like, an eternity when you're playing and you're injured. So that's where they were coming in. So Stanford was 15-6, ASU 14-6, thinking, okay, someone's going to get 2 out of 3. Are they going to go back and forth? And look, this series lived up to the billing. I will say this, because especially in the Pac-12, what it was talked about, and how it was being talked about, what it meant, obviously, going into the last 2 weeks. Pardon me, what it meant going in the last 2 weeks of the season, and what teams were doing. I mean, look, I said Oregon State, Oregon, Washington, USC, all these teams had series that were crazy important, but for standings wise, coming down the stretch. So the results from the weekend. So on Friday night, ASU Stanford game first, 8-6. And man, it was absolutely crazy, because 8-6 was the final, mind you not. And then but it went okay. So this is how you knew the series was going to go back and forth, is because the way Friday night started. So it's zeros. First, second inning, nobody puts up runs. You figure, okay, pitching there, like Quinn Matthews, their ace, their Friday night starter, their ace. This kid, well, I guess I say he was just the dominant pitcher you want him to be. So no score through 2. ASU puts up 1 in the bottom of the 3rd. All right, feeling pretty good. What does Stanford do? Stanford answers with 4 in the top of the 4th. Okay. What does ASU do? They answer with 2 in the bottom of the 5th. So now it's becoming a heavyweight fight. First, you get heavyweight pitching, no score first 2 innings. 3rd inning, 1 run. 4th inning, 1 run for ASU, 4 like I said for Stanford. Go to the 5th inning. Top half, Stanford doesn't put up any. ASU puts up 2. So now it's 4-3. Then Stanford puts up 1 in the top of the 6th, right? So it's 5-3. Then ASU puts up 3 in the bottom of the 6th. So it's 6-5. What does Stanford do? They turn around in the 7th and put up 3. And it's 8-6. ASU puts up none in the bottom of the 7th and bottom of the 8th, nothing. Bottom of the 9th, nothing. And then Ryan Bruno came in. This junior reliever, if you haven't seen Ryan Bruno, again, his fastball, I mean, it pops. He hit 98, 99 on the radar gun. And yeah, you can't be, if you're down by more than a run, 1 run being down to them would be challenging when Bruno comes in the 9th. And man, he just absolute flame thrower. You talk about it's like habanero sriracha, literally. I mean, it's again, guys battled, but yeah, that fastball is just lively. And like I said, habanero sriracha. It is maybe ghost pepper sriracha. Let's go with ghost pepper habanero sriracha. Whatever you want to throw in, that is Ryan Bruno's fastball. And Timmy Manning started, had a good outing. Again, threw good stuff, kept him in it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, back and forth. I mean, ASU scores first. They're going back and forth. Stanford gets a lead. And this team for Willie Bloomquist fights. But man, Stanford, I mean, come on. They're just so that was game 1 of the series. Stanford wins 8-6. Second game. We thought we had a lot of runs and fireworks. Willie Bloomquist says, yeah, putting up 6 runs against the Stanford post game. One of the things he said, you put up 6 runs against them, you feel like you're in a very good spot to win the game. Saturday night rolls around, and yeah, you talk about fireworks. Well, there was fireworks. 12-11, Stanford holds on to win by 1. So Stanford in this game, and the starting pitcher for ASU was Christian Curtis. It's a very solid season. And Matt Scott for Stanford, who, again, you're starting on Saturday for Stanford again. But Matt Scott, very, very solid season. So, first inning, Stanford puts up 1 in the top of the 1st. We're like, okay, here we go. Momentum from the 8-6 win. ASU doesn't score. Top of the 2nd, Stanford puts up another one. So they're 2-0 going to the bottom of the 2nd. Well, ASU explodes in the 2nd. They put up 6. So after 2, ASU is up 6-2. 3rd inning, Stanford doesn't score. And again, Curtis pitching very well to this point. Stanford's been anything. ASU puts up another run. So they're up 7-2 through 3. Well, then came the top of the 4th. And Stanford says, well, you put up 6 in the 2nd. We'll see your 6 and we'll raise you 1. Stanford puts up 7 in the top of the 4th to go up 9-7. Well, in the bottom of the 4th, though, the Sun Devils say, you know what? Hey, okay, you're on our home field. You're Stanford. We're not letting this go again. So they put up 2. Through 4, we are tied at 9. Go to the 5th inning. Stanford puts up the goose egg. ASU, what do? They put up 1. So now they're up 10-9. Go to through 5. Go to the top of the 6. Stanford's like, all right, we got some bats for you. We can answer it. They put up 2. So they're up 11-10. And then ASU says in the 6, all right, we spotted you. Now we're going to make this the stretch run the final 3 innings. ASU puts up 1 through 6. We are tied at 11. 7th inning. Boom. Top of 7-0. 7th inning stretch comes great. No score by ASU in the bottom of the 7th. Top of the 8th, Stanford manages to eke 1 run across the plate. ASU puts up a 0, go to the 9th. ASU holds them scoreless as Noah Liebemoff came in the 9th and didn't give up anything. But who came in the 9th for Stanford? Yes, once again, Mr. Ghost Pepper, habanero sriracha, flamethrowing fastballer, Ryan Bruno. And ASU just couldn't get to him, and they end up losing 12-11. Toe-to-toe, 2 games in a row with a top 10 team in the country. Like I said, Stanford, like they're a top 10, their numbers like 7. And they're a top 10 team in the country. Yeah, we see what they have. Their lineup up and down. And, and Willie Bloomquist said after this game, he talked about it. He's like, you put up 11 against Stanford. You really feel you're winning the game. Knowing how talented they are, he said, not taking anything away from them, you feel you're winning the game. And the one thing I took from Saturday night, not that I didn't take it from this season. I mean, again, the first series they lost was last weekend in Eugene, where they dropped the first 2, took the third one. That's the first conference series they lost, and then they come in and, yes, get swept by Stanford. But yeah, that Saturday night 12-11 finish, like he said, he goes, we're right there. He goes, little things you got to clean up. You can't bobble a ball. Got to make plays. It's just, but they are doing that. But yes, it is chasing Stanford. It is getting to Stanford's level. So, I mean, look, the players came in. They weren't, even talking to some of the players after the game. You see nobody's believing in silver linings, but you see what they can do. And man, so that was Saturday's game. Figure, all right, now we're going to Sunday's game, and we're thinking, okay, got to get one from Stanford. And the starting pitcher for Stanford was Joey Dixon. And for ASU, Ross Dunn. And Coach wanted him to go a little deeper, and Dunn actually did go a little deeper in into the game. But right off the bat, ASU up 3-0, bottom of the first. Stanford didn't score on top. ASU puts up 3. Nobody scores in the second. Top of the third, Stanford says, all right, well, we of course, we're Stanford. We got to try and tie you. They grind out 3 runs. And top of the third, ASU doesn't score. So through 3, we're tied at 3. Nobody scores in the 4th or 5th. Go to the 6th. Stanford puts up 2. And they're up 5-3. ASU answers, though. They get 1 back. They're down 5-4 through 6. So 7th, nobody scores. 8th, nobody scores. Going to the 9th, you figure, all right, ASU, you got a chance here. Again, being down 5-4. Well, the 9th inning, unfortunately, is Stanford again flexed their muscle and showed it. It was the one inning. It was the mulligan that, I don't say laughing at ASU because you're right there and you're frustrated as a team. It's like, when a team calls, or like having siblings, when you're the little brother or the little sister and you're so close to beating, when you start getting closer to beating your older sibling, and then it's actually like, if they're not taking it easy or not letting you. We've all had siblings that have done that. Some don't. But when they don't, it's good. But when you get so close and you try to not get frustrated, you're right there. Stanford gets not one, but two 2-run home runs in the 9th. And two 2-run home runs. Put up for ASU. Now Bruno didn't come in, but Brant Panther closed it out for Stanford, and ASU gets shut out in the bottom of the 9th. So they end up losing 9-4. But yeah, Willie, after the game yesterday, he's like, I don't like getting swept. Silver linings. He goes, well, we proved we can battle, we can grind, we can go toe to toe. And I called it ahead. It was literally like your old school classic heavyweight fight, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. I mean, till the 9th, like they're in the middle of the ring exchanging just huge haymakers. Isaiah Jackson, the freshman for ASU, had a heck of a series. Like I said, getting Ryan Campos back, absolutely huge in the lineup because, you have Hill, Campos, Keyshaw, and Jacob Tobias all batting. And then, Isaiah Jackson, the freshman, he went 1 for 4 yesterday, but sick defensive plays. Good contact hitting-wise all weekend on the ball, and just how he's developed as a freshman. He's the number 2 prospect in Arizona. Coming out of, high school. He was ranked as the number 2 prospect in the state. And just as a freshman, and Jack touched on it too, from the mental side, like he's developed it. You want to do good. And of course, everybody naturally is going to press, but man, just impressed with this freshman, impressed with the attitude of this whole team and taking on Willie Bloomquist's mentality. Absolutely awesome. So, yeah, ASU, again, they get swept by Stanford. And then when we look at the other weekend games real quick, so Washington and Washington State. So that, Washington State beat Washington Friday 2-1. SC beat Oregon 7-2, and then Cal beat UCLA 10-7. Utah beat Oregon State. That was a huge upset there because Utah, again, it's been tough for them in the PAC. But they beat Oregon State Friday night 13-9. We go to Saturday, Oregon State. They avenged that loss, but they slide by Utah 6-5. Washington turned around and beat Washington State 6-2, and then Oregon turns around and beats USC 7-5. So those series are tied up. Then we go to yesterday. And Cal beat UCLA 9-8. And then SC, well, they won the series. They beat Oregon 11-4. And then Oregon State won the series, beat Utah 11-4. So they take 2 of 3. And then Washington takes 2 of 3 from Washington State. They won 8-2. So standings wise now, real quick, Stanford with the sweep goes to 18-6. ASU getting swept by Stanford goes to 14-9. Oregon State gets they go up to 16-11. And so they're sitting at 3rd in the conference. Oregon now 14-10. Washington getting 2 out of 3. They're 13-10, and they're right ahead of USC. Who is 13-11. And they have UCLA at 10-12-1 in conference play, Arizona at 9-15, Cal at 9-15, and then Washington State at 8-15, and Utah at 8-18-1. So yeah, Stanford in control to get the number 1 seed for the Pac-12 tournament, like I said, which will be at Scottsdale Stadium in a few weeks. But yeah, and the next weekend series coming up. So Utah, they'll be playing Cal Poly out of conference. But things that affect the standings, Stanford will host Arizona. I know, so vomiting that ASU fans would actually be rooting for Arizona to sweep that series. I laugh. But nonetheless, Washington State will travel to Berkeley to take on the Bears. Arizona State, they will go on the road to see if they can, again, get out of this little bit of losing funk and take on USC. And then UCLA hosts Oregon State, and Oregon, this will be a dandy in the Pacific Northwest this weekend, will host Washington. So, again, huge implications on the standings. ASU definitely needs to take 2 out of 3 from SC. And hope that UCLA can take at least 2 out of 3 from Oregon State to keep them off of ASU's trail for ASU. For Oregon State, like I said, Oregon State started out kind of and then as we got into conference play, I said, conference play-wise, they started out below their standards. But I said, look at what they'll keep doing. ASU did take 2 out of 3 from them in Tempe, which was huge. But I said, this team's going to charge up, and they've charged up. So, huge series there. So those are the weekend series in baseball. Softball, real quick, over the weekend, ASU was taking on Oregon State. ASU took on Oregon State. Like I said, UCLA played LMU their last weekend because they, again, odd number of teams. You're not going to, they just got scheduled. They played LMU. So they've taken on LMU, but conference wise, ASU was taking on Oregon State. UCLA was also taking on San Diego State. So, they played in a tournament. They played LMU and San Diego State on Friday. So, and they won both of them. Oregon was hosting Utah. Arizona hosted Cal, and Stanford hosted Washington. So, Friday night, ASU run ruled Oregon State up in Coral Vallis. They won 8-0 in 6. Looking good there. And then Utah beat Oregon 3-1 on Friday. And then Cal beat Arizona in Tucson 8-6. Stanford squeaked by Washington and won 2-1 on Friday. Saturday, Oregon State turns around, gets shut out, and beats Arizona State 7-6. Utah, it took the series from Oregon, but they beat them 8-2. And then Cal, same score, same bad time, same bad channel, right? They beat Arizona to take the series 8-6. And then Washington evened up their series. They shut out Stanford, beating the Cardinal 1-0 on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Oregon State took the series, and man, that is tough for the Sun Devils to swallow. 3-2. They beat Arizona State yesterday. Washington takes the series from Stanford. They shut out Stanford 8-0 in 6. And then Arizona gets one from Cal, and they beat them 9-4. And then Utah beats Oregon 2-0. So, again, UCLA won the regular season conference. They were 21-3, and again, lost one game in 3 different series is how they did that. So 21-3 in conference play. Washington finishes second in conference play after getting 2 of 3 this weekend at 16-8. Then Utah finished third. They're 15-9 in conference. Stanford finished fourth at 14-10, having the tiebreaker over Oregon, who finished at 14-10 as well. Cal 9-14-1, Oregon State 6-17-1, and then Arizona and Arizona State both at 6-18 in conference play. So when we look at the softball bracket, the play-in game, like I said, top of the show, if you would have said the inaugural softball tournament hosted by U of A in Tucson is the play-in game, just to have a chance, is going to be Arizona versus Arizona State. Arizona the 8, Arizona State the 9. And that'll be at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. That game will be played. So that's the playing game. And then UCLA, the number 1 seed, they will take on the They will take on the winner of that game. The number 2 seed in the tournament is Washington. They will take on number 7 Oregon State in the first round. And then number 3 Utah takes on number 6 Cal. Number 4 Stanford takes on number 5 Oregon. And this is the inaugural, by the way, women's softball Pac-12 tournament. So and it starts, like I said, Wednesday at Arizona's Hillenbrand Stadium down in Tucson. If you're around the area, again, check it out. It'll be some phenomenal softball. That is UCLA's 12th regular season title, by the way. Like I said, with a 21-3 conference record, the most victories in league since Oregon in 2018 went 21-3 as well. And UCLA's best since it went 22-6 back in 1999. Party like it's 1999. Shout out to the great Prince. Anyway, the Bruins, they've won 23 in a row, the second longest active streak in the nation. So, again, Washington, like I said, at number 2 after they had an 8-0 win at Stanford on Sunday to wrap it up. So you talk about wrapping it up in fashion. They run rule Stanford. Pressure's on, and the Lady Huskies. Again, shout out to Riley Holtworth, another softball player here from Arizona, went to O'Connor High School, covered quite a few of her games. Very, very talented player. But, yeah, the Huskies get the number 2 seed. So, yeah, Utah swept Oregon, and then they got their the first series win over the Ducks since they've been in the Pac-12, and they are the number 3 seed. Like I said, I went through all the seedings. So, yeah, game 1 Wednesday between Arizona and Arizona State. Then Thursday, going backwards in days. Thursday, they don't get 6 days off. Thursday, quarterfinals. So it goes 10 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 Pacific, 4 and 6:30. The first game is Utah will take on Cal, Washington will take on Oregon, and UCLA will take on, like I said, the winner of Arizona State, and then Stanford, that's at 4, and then Stanford takes on Oregon at 6:30 Pacific. And then the semifinals on Friday. Semifinals on Friday. We'll see the game 2 winner. So the winner of Utah and Cal take on the game 3 winner, the winner of Washington and Oregon State. And then game 7, the game 4 winner, whoever wins between UCLA and either ASU or U of A, will take on the winner of game 5, Stanford and Oregon. And then Saturday, the championship game is on. Oh, so Friday, I should mention that it's 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Game 6 is on ESPNU. And then game 7 on Friday, and I'll mention this again on Friday, but 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. That game is on ESPN2. And then the championship game on Saturday, May 13th, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, also on ESPN2. So we get to see, again, great Pac-12 softball. And that is where we are at with that. And, yeah, so, again, great show. Thanks for I'm glad you could, well, again, it was a great show because of all the greatness that happened in the Pac-12 this weekend. But, yeah, again, you can log on to Pac-12.com, check out the website, and you can see, again, schedule, standings. But, yeah, so a lot of great baseball coming up. Postseason softball is here. Conference tournaments this week. So, and then once they have it, we'll have the selection, and then, boom, off come regionals. Cannot wait for it. And we, again, we'll see what happens. A lot of madness, but a lot of Pac-12 teams vying for spots in regionals. And, well, UCLA is already hosting one. We know that. But, again, it's not a jinx, it's not a broadcast jinx. They're dominant. They're good. You need to watch them play if you haven't seen them play because, yeah, they have a chance to do a lot of damage in the postseason. And then, like I said, congratulations, speaking of UCLA, again, the men's volleyball team, their 20th national title in the sport. And, man, just hats off to UCLA, beat Hawaii in 4. The USC women, they three-peat on the beach side. They beat crosstown rivals UCLA, of course, an all-conference of champions championship game. Yeah, again, yap to me about your other conferences. Try and yap. It's okay. At Diablo00 on Twitter. Let's have some fun with it. But I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you Friday, same bat time, same bat channel as I get out of here. And again, have a great week. Enjoy, again, I know NBA playoffs. And then again, you got some, obviously, baseball. There's midweek baseball games this week in the PAC. You can check those out. Also check out the softball tournament. Yeah, have a lot of fun with it. But, Stanley Cup playoffs, which absolutely rocks. Shout out to the Devils putting up 8 goals yesterday and joining the series that Carolina dominated and punched them in the mouth. So nonetheless, happy to see that. But yeah, NBA playoffs, you're enjoying all stuff. Again, enjoy it. Check it all out. But enjoy some Pac-12 preview with me on Mondays and Fridays. So again, same bat time, same bat channel on Friday. I will see you then. And like I say, as always, forks up.